Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record every Mondays at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time. If you enjoy the channel, please hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Turn notifications on and you will get an email link with this full episode. And if you want to submit to this show, take a look at the information in the description. You're at the HPT in Daytona, right? And we're going to go over a hand here.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
and that's going to be my episode number 1.
Okay.
I released the pilot episode, and Heartland Poker Tour main event is going to be my first episode.
Okay.
And I have one of the first hands that I played there. Starting stack, we have 30,000. The blinds are 100, 100. So it's going to play like, very deep cash game.
What's the buy-in for this event?
1,100.
1,100. Okay. This is not the main event, or is this one of the main event days?
This is the main event.
This is the main event. Okay. So 30K pre-ante, 100, 100. Is this the first level, basically, or second level?
First level, actually, it's first 5 hands, I believe.
Oh, okay. First 5 hands.
Of the whole tournament.
Yeah.
We are on this small blind with ace-5 of diamonds. And the button makes it 300.
So folded to the button.
Yep. Short-handed.
Oh, short-handed. Okay. Raises to 300. Okay.
Yep. And here, I was kind of cold, so I did not 3-bet. I think probably the first option should be 3-bet, but I just called.
I mean, I looking back at this on paper, yeah, that's what it looked like when you sent me this over at first. But to be perfectly honest with you, if I'm playing my first hand in a tournament with a bunch of unknowns, short-handed, especially if there's no ante where people aren't overcalling in the big blind all that much because of the dead money, I don't hate a call here as you get situated. Yes, it's probably going to be more often going to be a 3-bet here, especially with antes. You're going to be playing a very high frequency 3-better fold from the small blind. Here there are no antes. Sometimes I will play a little bit of a passive route when I'm up against just a bunch of unknowns in the first level of a tournament. So I don't think you're really giving away all that much here to have a frequency of call. So you make the call in the small blind.
Yeah, and the big blind calls as well.
Okay.
Flop comes queen of diamonds.
Yep.
5 of clubs, 4 of diamonds.
So you flop the nut flush draw and a pair of 5s. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Couldn't ask for any better, right?
Uh-huh.
I check, and big blind check. The button bets 600.
600 into a pot of 900, right?
900. Yep.
Okay. That's that's kind of on the larger side. Is this an older player or what?
He looked recreational, but solid. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you were heads up here, this is just a slam dunk call because you basically, if you look at if a guy's betting ace high, you've got him covered, right? Because you'll have aces up. You don't even need that much protection because you've got diamonds. You've sort of flopped the world. Where we see some things reflected in a check raise here as a combo draw bluff is a hand like 5, 6 of diamonds. It's going to need some protection types from some sort of dangling overcard types of things, or with you having the ace as a block is one of them. Ace 5 of diamonds here with the guy in the big blind, I would still call for the most part. I mean, I'm just saying you have a slam dunk call heads up. It's still probably a call multi-way. There is something to be said for check raising to drive out somebody behind you, but I would play this pretty much as a straight call, I would think.
Okay, and that's what I did. I called, and the big blind folds.
Okay. Yep.
Turn is 2 of clubs.
So now we're looking at a pot of what, 1,800 chips, right?
21, 6, 12, plus 9.
Oh, yeah, 21. My bad. Yeah, 21. You're right. All right, 21. Okay. So your head's up.
Heads up.
Yep.
I check, and he bets 900.
You said the turn was the deuce of clubs. Is that right?
Yes, two of clubs. Yep.
Okay, so hero checks, and now he bets 900 into 2,100. Okay.
And the way I interpret that bet, I didn't think I thought it was that it was a weak bet basically, and I raised, picking up
So,
additional equity as well because now we have the gutter too.
so when you say you do, obviously, you've got a wheel gutter here, and you have, a pair of fives and diamonds. You said it was kind of a weak bet. Does it you meaning that what? That he's got like a weak top pair like queen 10, queen 9, jacks, tens? Would he bet those hands twice into two people? Because your hand is sort of in between here, Pavlos, right? Like, I don't know if it needs to be check raised here as a semi bluff. The sound thing, if it was to be check raised as a semi bluff, is that are you going to get him off of a better hand here if you check raise the turn?
I mean, a weak queen is obviously in his range, and any talking about the bottom of his range, right? And any middle pair, from sixes to jacks.
So you said you check raised to 3,200. Is that right? 900 to 3,200.
I checked raise to 2,500,
Oh, to 20,
and that's, I think it's
2,500. Okay.
I should have went a little bit larger.
I don't know if hands like sixes through tens are betting here two streets. Here's the issue with the check rate. The other thing too is that, listen, like, you can definitely play a straight up exploitable game where you think that your opponent is totally clueless about ranges and things like that. But usually when you're playing in a tournament, you don't know the opponent. So you tend to try to play at least somewhat close to baseline and then make exploits after the fact. The problem here is I feel like you're not repping a ton by check raising the turn here. I guess you could have fives and fours. You're not going to call with deuces and maybe like ace three suited. I would have a hard time in your opponent's shoes bet folding a value hand. So if I put myself in your opponent's shoes and I would have a hard time bet folding a value hand, that would mean that I'm not going to get a better hand to fold with a check raise. Now, your opponent certainly could be double barreling, right, with air, but you've got the board covered here. So I still think that this might be played off as a straight sort of call across multiple streets here, sort of with board coverage and with the ace five of diamonds, gutter to a wheel. You can call down on some rivers. Your hand is somewhat hidden a little bit too. He might try to barrel off if a straight comes and you could call. I mean, I do struggle sometimes in the spot because it's a tournament and sometimes you just want to win the pot. But if I'm going to put myself in your opponent's shoes and I'm not going to bet fold the value hand because your hand looks super, super sort of polarized, like it just doesn't look like it's you're repping such a sort of a tiny value range, then I don't want to check raise that player if I put myself in his shoes and I'm not going to bet fold value. Now, if you think he's going to come off a queen 10 or queen jack, it's certainly an exploit, but if you're new to the table, I'm not exactly sure how you can make that exploit, and I don't know how you can really assume, because it's very non-standard, that someone's going to be betting sevens, eights, nines here across two streets. So I would tend to put this in a call range. You're check raising the 2,500.
He decided to check raise. Do you think I should have went around 3,200 type of bet instead of 25?
No, I don't think so. If you're trying to get him off of his like just very, very weak value hands that he beats, that you think that he's going to come off of like eights, nines or something like that, then I think it's fine. I think you can evaluate what you're going to do at the end. This probably gets the job done.
Okay.
So
he calls, if I remember correctly, he called relatively quick.
So the pot's now 7,100, right?
The pot is...
You put in 5,000, right?
It's 7,100, yep.
Okay, let's roll the river.
The river is 8 of clubs.
Okay.
I gave up at that point. I checked.
I mean, listen, like I'm not, like I said, usually tournaments are still going to be value in the early stages. You can be like overly aggressive in spots and stuff like too. But the way that you've played this hand, usually you don't see people check raise the turn with the front door as a delay, meaning that like if I was in a vacuum against typical live opponents and somebody check raised me on the turn, I would rarely expect them to have the front door as a bluff. It would be more of them picking up the back door. I don't know if you have enough showdown value here. And for him to have clubs, he would have to sort of structure his continuation bet with a backdoor flush draw, which he could have, right? But I think I would probably, I'm not a huge fan of your check raise on turn, but I think when we get to this river, I think you probably bluff it. If you have the, sometimes the 6-7, something like that. I don't think you have enough showdown value here to win. So I think that you do have to bluff across clubs. What ended up happening? Check.
He checked behind, and he wins with 9.
Yeah. There you go. It's interesting that he bet off 9s twice and called your raise. But that's the whole thing. Like I said, it's like, I think you got to have to blast that river. I mean, the way I would have played it, I would have lost too, right? Because I would have just check called and it would have gone check. But you have to recognize sometimes when you've played the front door draw in a non-standard way by sort of delay raising turn, you're allowed to use the backdoor draw here too, especially if it's going to be what looks like it's going to be, kind of scary. I don't think your hands have enough showdown value to to not bluff. Now, if the river was an offsuit 8, Pavlos, I can get on board with just giving up, right? You have some showdown value.
Give up on okay. Because I was thinking the opposite, to be honest. I felt that when he called the turn, that he had a lot of flush draws, and the fact that it's the queen of diamonds on the board, and not, the queen of clubs. So
no, I think if the river's an offsuit 8, you do have some showdown value against some sort of missed draws if you had backdoor clubs, right? If you have ace-5, and he's not going to, and well, the more important part of the offsuit 8 is that he's not going to fold. Like, he's probably not going to fold a queen because all the draws bricked out, right? But if he has a queen here, right, and you've check raised and you were trying to get that sort of weak part of his range out, which is why I don't like the check raise, because I think this is sort of way ahead, way behind. But okay, you check raise and he calls. Now this river is a card that he can fold on if he had a hand like queen jack, queen 10. Whereas a brick 8, I don't think you're going to get the fold equity. You know what I mean?
I mean, I was at least correct on my feeling that the turn was a weak holding, not as strong, because of his size.
Well, it should have worked, right? It should have worked.
But a lot of times, I find myself that I know that he has a weak holding, but they're too sticky.
That they're too sticky. I mean, that's another. Well, then, I mean, when you said should my sizing be larger? If your sizing is going to be large, this is such a small part of this guy's range. I feel like that he arrives here with. I just think it's going to be more queen X, or draws, whether it's front door or back door or whatever it is. But if you're not going to get him to fold 9s to 2,500, if it's a sort of a kind of made up term like an inelastic calling range where larger gets him to fold some of the weaker portions of his showdown value, then I guess you do go larger here. I wouldn't have thought that he would have 9s, but I think what I've seen, especially when I was playing tournaments and stuff, is that if you make a play on the semi-bluff on the front door, you can represent the back door, especially if you're doing it on the turn. Again, check out my buddy Kaspar's
More
YouTube.
hands from there.
Yeah, Kaspav Poker. So are you re-entering, or are you still in the tournament?
This was played 2 weekends ago.
Oh, this was 2 weekends ago, the Daytona thing?
Yep.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Well, I won't. Then don't tell us the result, because you're going to tell us in your vlog.
No, I didn't even post it on my Facebook blog page.
Okay.
The results.
Good. All right. All right. Thanks for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.